Hello again, and welcome to the Drama Club. On this week's episode, listen to us jab about the Leaving Neverland documentary, and then May's up and she tells us the story of the legendary Whitney Houston. Stay tuned.
What up, fam? It's good, y'all. Feels good, right? Yeah, I know it do. And without further ado, we broadcasting live from CA to NY. Check it.
Lisa Rinna's messy though.
Yeah, she's annoying, but she's the one that brings the drama because she don't give a fuck. R. Kelly too. I forgot about that shit too. That shit was so funny. I'm fighting for my life.
I've given you 30 years of my career.
Did you see somebody remixed it with the Trapped in the Closet
Yes.
background music?
And it worked perfectly.
Yeah, the internet is so fucking amazing. I love you guys. Oh, shout out to Stephanie or like all of our Twitter followers too. When I tweeted at that guy that we had done a Michael Jackson 2-part episode, everybody came and supported us.
Yeah.
That was fucking awesome. Thanks, you guys. We're trying to get some sort of notice.
No, you guys are so cool. You guys have always been there for us, always retweeting, always liking.
Y'all are the real MVP.
Yes.
What do we do? Introduce ourselves or talk about Michael?
Let's introduce ourselves.
Okay, you first.
Hi, everybody. My name is Amay.
Hello, everybody. My name is Stephanie, and we are the Drama Club.
Hashtag El Club de Drama. Hey, I saw that you saw a license plate that said Drama Times 2. I was like, oh, shit.
I was like, that's our car. What the fuck? How dare they? I was pretty shocked. So the big thing in the news this week, or I don't know about the news. No, it's been in the news.
Yeah, it's been in the news.
Is the HBO 2-part documentary about Michael Jackson, and it's Wade Robinson and who?
James Safechuck.
James Safechuck, called Leaving Neverland, dropped, and it is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I haven't finished it because I had to, it took me a long time to finish the first part.
Yeah.
I was like stopping it. I was like, oh, this is too heavy.
Well, the second part is not that heavy.
I'm like halfway through, but yeah, I just
Okay.
got to the part where Wade is like now with his wife. And it's like the second round of allegations.
It's more like personal. The second part is more like personal aftermath.
Yeah.
And the
about
first
them
part
dealing with it, right?
is like straight up being like, they describe exactly what happened to them.
And that it's really graphic, which I am glad that they put that in there. Because everybody was saying like, why did they do that? But HBO was like, you need to hear the story like the way it happened to them.
Right. Did you watch the Oprah after show too?
No, but I heard that Oprah's getting like heat from Michael stans.
Yeah, of course. But on that show, I can't remember who made the point that the story is less about Michael and it's less about these two guys and more about like, look, these are the signs of grooming. These are the things that we need to start talking about more openly so that we can recognize when things are a problem.
Yeah, totally. That was like listening to the description, especially Jesse or James?
Jimmy, they call him when he's younger.
Little?
Jimmy, yeah.
So like, I think Jimmy's description of the abuse is like especially graphic. Yeah. I don't know if he got it worse than Wade or if he was just the first one, so Michael was like especially into it. I don't know.
Or he seemed especially, I hate to use this language, but like in love with him or something.
Yes, no, they were, yeah, because they were groomed. Like they were totally.
I mean, Michael seemed like totally in love with him. Like,
oh yeah,
so
of course.
I think it was harder for him. So it was like, it was terrible. His story is terrible.
Yeah, it's really hard to listen to, and
they come off very believable.
Yeah, they're so honest. Like he's so like matter of fact. It's not like, I don't know. That's how I felt it too.
There's a lot of detail. There's just shit. Yeah, there's no way they could have
come up with that. Yeah, exactly. That's why it seems so believable too, because it's very like he's telling this story like matter of fact. Like, like this is, just reality,
Right. This is what happened. And then there are parts where he does get a little bit emotional and it's not over the top or anything. No. It's just like he's hurting. I feel he's hurting still, it seems like, more so than Wade.
And he's like so many years removed from this, so many like, professional help I think he's gotten
Yeah.
in regards to it, and still it's like really hard for him.
What's wild to me also is that they both sort of didn't think of what happened to them as abuse until they had their kids.
Yeah.
Then when they had their kids, it was crazy to me that they were both like, holy shit, like this, something happened to me that was horrible. It's
when
not,
I was this little.
it's not like they had forgotten it. It wasn't that. It's just
No,
like
they thought it was normal because Michael made them think that it was normal.
Yeah, exactly. It was just
and that
like
it was okay.
It was the way they had compartmentalized this abuse and sort of like made their brains, and Michael made their brains like make it seem like it was normal, and that was how they could deal with it. And then all of a sudden they looked at their own kids and they were like, what if this happened to my kid, you know?
Yeah.
Oh.
Can we low-key talk about their parents for a second?
Yes, let's talk about the parents.
Because it really like I don't know if it was a different time too. Like I know like the more, you know, we as a society time passes, the more cautious we are with everything, you know? Like back in the day, people used to leave their fucking doors open and shit, and kids would play outside all the fucking time and go by themselves.
You wouldn't know where your kids were. Like our parents and stuff, like their parents wouldn't know where they were.
Fuck no, everybody would just be outside all the time, and like you know, people didn't realize that this kind of awful shit happened because I think just news and stuff in general wasn't so accessible like
and
now.
People didn't talk about it. These things would happen to them, and it would be this big secret, and no one would know about it.
It would be hush hush for sure. So like, I know that's part of it. That it was both their mothers, right?
Yes.
It sounds like their dads were kind of a little bit removed from the whole thing.
Well, for Wade,
they pushed him out.
Yeah, they pushed him out. Michael especially was like kind of the instigator. Like, oh yes, because they lived in Australia, so he told the mom, oh, you should come live over here. You know?
Yeah. And for James, I think his dad was just like working and shit.
Yeah.
And his dad loved Michael too. Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they talk about that too. How Michael also groomed the parents, especially the mothers.
Yeah, and he would tell them like that he was lonely.
Yeah.
And they were his friends.
Yeah.
And he would provide for them. Oh, it was really scary when James's mom is talking about how like right after James helped him with the first investigation, he had like loaned them money to buy a house, and then he was like, oh, don't pay me back. And she was like, well, now I look back and the timing is perfect. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
But at the time, she didn't think about it.
Ugh.
But okay, so these parents are letting their children sleep with a grown man or in the same room as a grown man.
Yeah.
Without any supervision. And like, I don't want to blame them because it's not their fault. But obviously, these aren't things that you should allow happen.
Right. But
you know?
It should be noted that the guys, Wade and James, they do in many ways blame their parents.
They do, huh? And like, was it? So I haven't finished the second part. But I heard that Wade's mom says something like, I don't know what happened and I don't want to know, or something.
I think, I can't remember which one said that they didn't want to hear they just know that it happened, that they didn't want to hear the details of it.
Yeah, I heard that one of the parents said that, and that whoever, Wade or James, were very upset by it. I'm not sure. I haven't finished it.
Well, on the Oprah thing, Wade says that at some point, in therapy, like when he told his mom what happened, he had to tell her, oh no, actually this happens on the second part of the doc. He tells his mom that he doesn't love her.
Wade?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
In part because of all of this that happened. Yeah. And also his wife doesn't want her to have a relationship with their child.
Oh, shit.
And Jimmy, he says that he's on the road to forgiving his mom. Like he's choosing to be on that road because forgiveness is work, you know? And he's like, I'm willing to put in the work, but it would be like facetious of me to say like, I forgive her, and it's not going to be that easy. And it's probably going to be something I'm working on for the rest of my life.
Yeah, because as a parent, you're supposed to protect your kids.
Yeah, that's like your only job.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
It's a horrible situation. And I mean, there's got to be, there must be people who aren't talking yet who it also happened to.
Yeah. So then I also want to talk about, because there's a lot of people still defending Michael,
Mm-hmm.
and it is important to know, Michael's not here anymore. He's not here to defend himself.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a one-sided documentary. And with a lot of documentaries that are one-sided, I usually don't like them because I know we're only hearing one side of the story.
Yeah.
And so, we'll just say that. Although I personally believe James and Wade.
Yeah, I do too.
But I understand why people would, kind of take the defensive a little bit. Do you remember when James is talking about the new kid Michael befriends and takes on tour and stuff? His name was Bobby, I think.
No, that's the first accuser. That's the one who got the money.
No, not Gavin.
No, that's not Gavin's not the one who got the money. Gavin's the one from the trial in 2003.
Oh, that's right. No. I know who you're talking about. The dentist's son?
Yeah.
That's not who I'm talking about. James talks about like how when at one point he realized he was no longer the best friend.
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about. Uh-huh.
And that kid went on tour with Michael.
Yeah, and that kid won't talk?
That kid's Twitter is hella defensive of Michael.
Really?
Yeah, I don't remember his name now, but while I was watching it, I looked him up real quick, and he was saying all this stuff, like, this is disgusting, like, Michael never did anything to me, Michael would never do that, he would just loved us. And Wade's first girlfriend, Michael's niece, is super defensive of Michael too, and talks a lot about Wade and like the conflicts in what he's saying and like what she remembers. I don't know. So it's interesting. There are people, who are painting another picture. And that girl, Wade's girlfriend, had an unedited clip of the documentary where Wade said, like, Michael was my best friend, and the filmmaker made him say lover instead.
Oh, interesting.
That's what happens with like one-sided documentaries.
Yeah.
So
sure.
Little things like that, like I get why people are like, okay,
you know that Corey Feldman.
Oh, I haven't seen. I know he's talking, but I don't know what about.
Because for a long time he's been like, don't believe this bullshit about Michael. He's a beautiful soul. All of this stuff. He would never do that. But now this week, he started off the week like right before the documentary came out with the same story as always. And this week, post documentary, now he's saying like, you know what? I can't defend him anymore. Because just because that didn't happen to me doesn't mean that didn't happen.
Right.
So
that's what I think Macaulay Culkin should take the position of.
Right.
Because Macaulay always says, Michael was my friend and all this stuff. And I think similarly, like for Macaulay and Corey Feldman, they're in a position of way more power than these regular kids. And they're exactly the kind of person that an abuser wouldn't seek out.
Right. And also there's this textbook thing that abusers do where whether it's a soccer coach or a priest or whoever, a teacher, whoever, they always have someone that they can point to and say, well, look at my relationship with this person, and who people can corroborate and be like, so parents could be like, oh, of course he'd never done anything. He's like family to us or whatever. There's always someone, and it's even better when it's a person who's prominent like that, like Macaulay Culkin or like Corey Feldman, that they can point to and be like, well, nothing happened to them.
Yep. Oh, you know what? I've just remembered what else pissed me off about their parents is like after the dentist's son made the allegations and like the lawsuit, they still let their kids spend the night with him. Like, that's fucking crazy. Like, let's say he, like, even if he is innocent, like, wouldn't this fucking show a red flag in your mind and be like, oh, let me just,
But we also talked about this when we were talking about Michael in our Michael episodes. I think like the smoking gun, where there's smoke, there's fire, is that where Michael cannot help himself.
Yeah.
This happened, and he cannot stay away from. He cannot keep these children out of his bed.
Away from him. Yep.
Hello.
Like, wouldn't you change everything about your life if you had that first lawsuit? If you were really innocent, like, fuck that. I never want to be around a kid again.
Right. You could give
he
money.
He can't help himself. Yeah.
You could do everything in your power to help children, and there's a lot in your power you could have done to help children, and without having them in your bed.
Yep.
He can't help himself, and I think for me that's it.
Yeah. Oh, like, did you see LaToya too? Fucking LaToya.
What'd she say?
She was like all up in the. Remember, at first, I think you talked about her one interview a long ass time ago where she says that Michael, like, she believes the kids.
Yeah, because she said
now she's taking the other side. Now she's like, oh, I was wrong in my first interview, and I don't believe this propaganda and all this shit.
LaToya, I will never, one way or another, will never believe anything that comes out
messy,
of LaToya.
LaToya.
You on the Masked Singer, girl? You messy.
Yeah, you real messy. Oh, God. Well, you guys should definitely watch it if you haven't.
Oh, for sure, watch it. Like I said, if anything, it's a learning experience, and I think it's information that we as a society need to have about abusers in general.
Yup, definitely. Whew.
Still there, say, does that star spangled banner yet wave?
All right, you ready? Because this is a good one.
Ooh. Hell yeah, I'm ready. Don't threaten me with a good time.
I'm doing Whitney Houston.
Yes. Awesome. Oh, man, now I'm going to be listening to Whitney Houston for the next 3 weeks.
I ain't mad at it.
That's true, though. I want to dance with somebody. I want to feel the heat.
So I got most of this from the documentary Whitney.
Ooh.
Which is on Hulu right now, and I highly recommend if you're into that sort of thing. It's pretty good.
Okay.
There's a couple too. There's one that's where is it? It's on Showtime. I think it's called Whitney, I'ma Be Me. So that was
of course.
That was also but you don't need to watch that one if you watch the Whitney one on Hulu.
Yeah.
I think the Hulu one it's associated with the people who did Amy.
Oh, okay.
All right, so Whitney was born on August 9th, 1963 in Newark, New Jersey, to John, an armyman, and the member of the mayor of Newark's administration, and Sissy, a prominent gospel singer. Sissy's sister was the mother of Dionne and Dee Dee Warwick, so Whitney was born into a family of incredible singers, which obviously, who doesn't love Dionne Warwick?
Right.
Say a little prayer for you. Dee Dee, I was less familiar with until somewhat recently, but she had a beautiful voice too. Whitney's godmother is another one of the great voices, Phil Spector's protege, Darlene Love, who, if you love a song from the 1960s, chances are she's singing on it somewhere.
Ooh, remember that one documentary, like 5 feet from
Stardom or something?
Stardom? Oh, yeah. And the one
That's
girl
really
that worked with Mick Jagger.
That's Darlene Love.
It is?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Yeah, yes. That's Darlene Love.
She's badass.
Which, fun fact, she sings background on my all-time favorite song, The Monster Mash.
Shut up, man. It was a great smash. It's so stupid.
Anyway, Whitney was also taken under the wing of Aretha Franklin from a young age.
Jesus Christ.
So you take her natural, just like God-given talent, you mix it with being surrounded by and nurtured by some of the greatest singers who have ever lived.
Yeah, come on.
And you sprinkle the fact that Sissy made it her mission in life to ensure that Whitney, like, technically became a good singer. Like, she wanted to make sure that she really knew how to use her instrument.
Uh-huh.
And then, you shake that shit all up and you get Whitney motherfucking Houston.
Amazing. That's the recipe right there.
Yeah, all you need to know is Darlene Love, Aretha Franklin, the Warwicks.
The voice.
That's all you need.
Okay, voice.
So Sissy and John were able to raise their family in a middle-class neighborhood, but money was still tight, and things were tough because they eventually got divorced, and because of the nature of their work, they were often away from home and the kids. Okay. Whitney and her two brothers were usually left with whoever could take care of them for any given time. And even though they were kind of middle class, it was still a sort of rough community, especially for people of color, because there was police brutality, which sort of created gangs, because at first people were like, we need to stick together.
Right.
And then, that kind of turns into violence and it became this vicious cycle.
Yeah. You know what gangs always say? That the police is the biggest gang.
And that's the truth, though.
Mm-hmm.
What color they wear? Oh, they're blue. They're Crips.
Blue and gold.
Oh, that would be the color of my gangs. That's cool.
Blue and gold?
Yeah.
Nice.
How come there's not just like a straight up gold gang? That's Lisa Vanderpump's gang.
Aren't the Latin kings like that? Gold and white?
Are the Latin kings gold and white?
I think so. I
Huh.
don't know, man. I don't know this shit.
Anyway, so Whitney sang from a very young age in church, but she said she didn't really know that she wanted to become a professional singer until she was around 13. By then, she'd already become the featured soloist in her choir. And if you see footage of her singing around this time, it's clear that she's fucking special. Like, that voice is not normal.
Oh, yeah. That voice gives you goosebumps.
Yeah. And Sissy was super hard on her because she recognized how gifted she was, and she wanted Whitney to be able to achieve the level of success that was always just out of reach for her, which sometimes caused friction with Whitney. It really seemed like, in a lot of ways, Sissy was jealous of Whitney.
Yeah.
Like, Sissy is a legend in certain circles, but
Right. But yeah. I get
obviously, you know,
Whitney is a legend, period.
Yeah, exactly. She'll never be as famous or iconic as Whitney ever. But anyway, she poured a lot of her own dreams into Whitney, and in a lot of ways she lived vicariously through her.
Mm.
John and Sissy really started scheming early to mold Whitney into the complete package. They wanted her to be cultured and classy and have that sort of girl next door, all-American vibe that they figured would be advantageous for her in her career.
Yeah.
They sent her to an all-girls Catholic school, which was definitely a financial sacrifice for them, but they wanted to make sure she was raised away from the seediness of her neighborhood.
Yeah. People love that shit.
They love that shit.
Oh,
meat,
yeah.
meat, that meat, it meat. So, from the outside, Whitney's childhood and adolescence seemed kind of idyllic, but her family did have its fair share of drama. Before the divorce, John was constantly unfaithful, and he worked for literally one of the most corrupt mayors ever, so he was shady as fuck. He'd gotten his connections to tap their phones and found out that Sissy was having an affair with the pastor of their church.
Ooh.
And he blew the fuck up because I guess he was like a super jealous dude, even though he was out here with his own women.
Yeah, but that's how those trash men are.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And that just makes me think of that when Bernie Mac plays the pastor in Friday and he's like,
oh, yeah.
He Macs on the neighbor across the street. The Lord is my witness and he knows what I need.
R.I.P. Bernie Mac, yo.
R.I.P. Bernie Mac.
He's
you a
so
real one.
funny.
He is fucking hilarious.
His show was really funny, the Bernie Mac show.
Yes. And I love, that's like a real thing. Like his sister, had issues and he raised his nieces and nephews. That's awesome.
R.I.P. my dude.
Some of my bitch. You nasty.
And so this particular situation was pretty hard on Whitney because they were deep into the church. So,
hey, so
and
was
the
her
church
mom.
was deep in her.
Amen.
So it really fucked her up, like on several levels. You know, it shook her faith, and
it was her family. Yeah, her mom and dad. That shit sucks.
And not only that, but she got bullied a lot. The kids in her neighborhood thought she was bougie and stuck up, and like and the kids from school thought, you know, like
she's ghetto and shit, so she just doesn't fit in anywhere.
Right.
Bye, Whitney. Have fun at Catholic school.
So everyone was shitty to her at school except for this one girl, Robin Crawford, who became Whitney's closest friend and confidant.
Okay.
We're Team Robin. In this house, we are Team Robin.
Shout out to Jordan Woods, who could have had it all. But she fucked it all up.
Fucked that shit up. I just saw on Twitter today that she was hanging out with Kylie.
Kylie?
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't click the article, so I'm not sure what the deal was, but I saw that they were together.
Yeah.
So honestly, Robin seems like the only person in Whitney's life that loved her for who she was. She kept her grounded, and she didn't want or demand anything from her. She was just fucking there through thick and thin as long as humanly possible.
That's awesome.
So it's fairly common knowledge now that Whitney and Robin were lifelong or almost lifelong lovers.
Oh.
Whitney describes the first time she saw Robin as being struck by how statuesque she was, and then talking to her and immediately feeling as if she'd known her whole life. But more on Robin later.
Okay.
By 1977, a 14-year-old Whitney had already done some gigs with her mom at nightclubs and had sung background on a few records. By her later teens, she'd taken up modeling, and she was one of the first women of color to be on the cover of 17 magazine, and she appeared in commercials and several other fashion magazines, so she was pretty fucking successful.
Yeah, that's awesome. 17
Yeah.
magazine.
She was beautiful.
Yeah.
So despite her success in modeling, she wasn't super happy doing it because she knew that what she really wanted to do was sing.
Right.
But I think she saw modeling as sort of a stepping stone and a hobby because her mom had wanted her to finish high school before she entertained all of the offers she was getting from record companies. Also, I'm sure she wasn't mad at the money that she was making either.
For sure.
Finally, at 20 years old, her agents figured it was time for her to start getting serious about getting a record deal. And in 1983, she accepted an offer from Clive Davis and Arista Records, who was just one of several people clamoring over each other to sign her. Clive knew what he fucking had, so he basically put her on a pedestal. Only the best for Whitney. The best writers, the best producers, everything.
Good.
Which meant that he wasn't exactly in a rush to release her debut album because everything had to be just right. Finally, almost 2 years later, in 1985, she dropped her debut album, Whitney Houston, and things were never the same.
Ooh, ooh.
This album had some fucking bops.
Hell yeah.
Including Saving All My Love for You.
Oh, yes.
And of course, How Will I Know? And The Greatest Love of All. And became the best-selling debut album of all time by a solo artist.
Hell yeah.
She ended up going 13 times platinum in the US and selling 22 million copies worldwide. This started a record string of 7 consecutive #1 hits, and she won her first Grammy at the 1986 ceremony, where she performed Saving All My Love for You, a performance which later got her an Emmy at the next Emmy Awards.
Oh my gosh. Could you imagine hearing her perform live at her peak?
Oh God, like
I bet
92?
I bet the whole crowd was like standing still, like
Floored.
everybody holding their breath, like,
yeah.
you know,
There's this
you're
amazing
in the presence
performance
of greatness.
of her performing in, I think it was like South Africa,
Uh-huh.
right after apartheid, and she's just like killing it. It's
Really?
amazing.
I remember showing Howell this video of her singing the national anthem at a Super Bowl
Mhm.
in the early 90s. It was right after fucking Fergie did that ridiculous one at the
Yeah.
All-Star game. And I was like, check out Whitney just belt this shit out. Because she's like in a fucking tracksuit. She looks like she's barely trying.
Yeah.
And she just belts it out like perfectly. It's amazing.
I'll get to that one.
Oh, okay, good.
Okay. So our girl Whitney is a bona fide megastar with undeniable talent, winning awards left and right, crossing over to white and corporate America in a way that no artist of color had ever done before, and she's only 22 years old.
Oh my God.
She's fucking killing it. She's killing it to a degree that's hard to even describe because had she done literally nothing else in life, she would have been iconic, but the success just went on and on.
Right.
And she continued to get bigger and bigger. Whitney and her talent was like one of the few things everyone could agree on. Literally, and this isn't a joke, Osama bin Laden became obsessed with her. He was known to constantly talk about how talented and beautiful she was. He kept pictures of her and talked about marrying her and killing Bobby Brown.
Oh, shit.
He had like cardboard cutouts of her. He was like obsessed with her.
Oh, shit. That talk about a scary stalker.
Yes. Whitney was his Women's Crush Wednesday for sure.
Oh, shit.
Also, Saddam Hussein was super into her too, but he wasn't like weird about it. He was just a big fan.
Yeah, he was cool about it, you know. He didn't want to come off as too desperate. Oh my gosh.
I think it was his election, his re-election campaign. The song was "I Will Always Love You."
Fuck.
Her second album also had bops like "I Want to Dance with Somebody."
Oh, that's my favorite Whitney song.
It's in my.
Oh, and
it's top
I Have
5.
Nothing. Oh, I love I Have
I
Nothing.
have nothing. Yeah. I also like "I Want to Run to You."
Oh.
Okay.
And I Have Nothing, wasn't that written by Foster, David Foster, and his then wife? His then wife, the Brody Jenner's mom. What's her name? The wife before the
Catherine
housewife.
McPhee. Oh.
No, the housewife. The wife. So 2 wives ago. Yeah.
Oh, shit. I didn't know that. Okay. So at this point, she did receive a bit of backlash from a certain like subsect of the African American community because
Why?
they thought she was fake and a sellout because her music was too mainstream and not soulful.
Okay, I hate that idea that like because you're a certain race, you have to fit into like a perfect mold of.
I know.
That's very
Yeah.
That's low key ignorant.
It's so annoying. Anyway.
Yeah.
And also like she likes the kind of music she fucking likes, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Like what the fuck?
Okay. So anyway, that it kind of it blew over relatively quickly, but it really stung her a lot.
I'm sure that's your community.
Yeah. I think it was a chip on her shoulder for a long time, like a long time. But the thing was
long.
that was Clive Davis's and even her parents' plan all along. Like they wanted Whitney to appeal to the I don't see color crowd.
Right.
So they did work really hard to whitewash her image. But that didn't change the fact of who Whitney was on the inside. She was from the hood.
Yeah.
You know, but on the outside, she had to code switch and put on this facade, which I'm sure weighed heavily on her.
Yeah.
Her next album, I'm Your Baby Tonight. Actually, that's one of my favorite that's one of my favorite Whitney songs.
Britney?
I was gonna say Britney. No, far from. They're very different.
Britney trying to sing a Whitney song.
No, don't do it, Britney.
Sit down, Britney.
So on that album, she tried to be a little more funky.
Okay.
And Clive Davis fought her like tooth and nail. Like he was not having it. But she released that song and also the bop, All the Man That I Need.
Oh.
That's one of my favorite too.
We like all her
Yeah,
songs.
all her songs are so fucking good. Okay.
She's up there with Katy Perry. We're into all her shit.
But those same haters called the transition fake.
Oh my god! See, that's the thing. People
Yeah.
People will hate you when you're successful, and they'll hate you when you're not. So fuck them.
So it was a lose for her with that crowd. So
yeah.
So I think like at that point she was kind of like, you know, whatever.
To quote a great philosopher, haters gon' hate.
Nostradamus or Gandhi,
Rembrandt.
Meanwhile, Whitney is one of the most eligible bachelorettes in the world.
Ooh, ooh. But she
would low key a hoe.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Good
Like,
for her.
She loved sex and dating dudes, but she wasn't trying to be serious with anyone. She was just DTF.
Yeah, she's focused on her career and
yeah, and cocaine. She did. She dated Eddie Murphy, which I think is a cool ass couple.
That is a cool couple. Damn.
There's footage of her on Arsenio's show where he's trying to get the tea from her, which is funny because he's friends with Eddie, and he goes, "Do you have intimate feelings for Eddie?" And she's like, "Yeah, there's some intimate feelings." There's intimate feelings, but we mostly are intimate.
Oh, damn.
She dated Randall Cunningham, the quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Ooh.
Robert De Niro was obsessed with her.
Oh, that would have been a sick couple.
That's a sick couple.
Damn.
And he was thirsty as fuck. Like there's articles around that time where he's like following her around the world, but she wasn't into him. She like didn't even like him. I don't think they even dated. He was just like please go out on a date with me.
He was like Osama bin Laden. He had a cut out of her and shit. He was all obsessed.
And all this time, our girl Robin is in the background.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's her girl, right?
Yeah. Whitney and Robin had been living together since they were 18.
Oh.
When you hear Whitney's family describe Robin, you immediately realize what they were up against. At the very least, this is Whitney's best friend from the time they were teenagers. And in the documentary, they ask Gary, Whitney's brother, "Who is Robin Crawford?" And he goes, "Who is she? She was a nobody. She was an opportunist. She was a wannabe. She was a nobody. She involved herself with Whitney for whatever reason. I've never seen them do anything, but I knew that she was something I didn't want my sister to be involved with. It was evil. It was wicked."
Oh.
Yeah, so it's fucking
And they're super
bullshit.
religious too, right?
They're so religious, yeah.
Yeah. So that's also playing a part there.
Sissy admitted to Oprah after Whitney's death that it would have bothered her if Whitney were gay.
Okay.
One of Whitney's homegirls says that Robin was her safety net. She says her relationships with men at the time were relationships she had because that was expected of her by her family and by the public. Like, sure, she enjoyed sex with men. I mean, who doesn't? Am I right, ladies? but as far as like real love,
like intimate
yeah,
feelings and shit.
It was Robin. And you can tell, like, when they ask her about like Eddie Murphy and stuff, she's like, yeah,
she's like, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, she was probably bi, I guess. It's hard to say because she's
fluid.
Yeah, and that's one of her the word that one of her friends uses. She's like, Whitney's fluid. She came and went like with whatever.
Yeah.
And she rejected labels, so I don't want to put a label on her that she wouldn't have liked, but who knows. There were whispers about her sexuality and her relationship with Robin as far back as the late 80s.
Oh, wow.
And Whitney would get all snappy in interviews when she was asked about it and absolutely denied that she was lesbian and or gay.
Oh, okay.
She would be like, people just say that because my friend Robin plays basketball. And like, she's kind of like tall and like, yeah. She deflects.
Yeah. I didn't know basketball was the marker right there.
I feel like maybe if Whitney were around today, she would have been queer, which I like that word, queer.
Yeah.
It sounds more inclusive to me. Like, isn't everyone a little queer? Like, not that I want to hijack queerness or, all lives matter queerness, but doesn't everyone want a spoon with Rachel Weisz? I mean,
I definitely want a spoon with Rachel Weisz. I watched The Favorite last night. I want to talk to you about that later.
Okay. Did you see when she was wearing latex at the Oscars?
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh my God. Okay. Anyway, so Robin was the only one who Whitney would listen to. So if Whitney wanted to stay in bed and cancel a performance or whatever, it would have to be Robin that would have to talk to Whitney and say, listen, we have commitments. If you need time off, I hear you and we'll schedule you some, but X, Y, and Z needs to get done first.
Yeah.
And on the contrary, if Whitney was exhausted and couldn't take anything more on, it was Robin who would put her foot down and say, no, we're not going to take on that project right now. Whitney needs to rest. So she was really out here looking out for her.
Yeah, she's a real friend. She loves her.
Yeah, exactly. Which really became a problem for Whitney's family.
Okay.
Like, yes, sure, they were probably definitely homophobic, but they, and in particular John, Whitney's dad, didn't like that someone was in control like that.
Because they had like kind of groomed her to have this career and stuff.
Yes. By that time, the whole family was on the payroll.
Yeah.
And John was making millions as one of Whitney's managers.
Ooh.
He hated that someone could get in the way of his bag like that because if it were up to him, Whitney would be working 24/7 to keep them all in the lifestyle to which they'd become accustomed.
Ugh. That's not fair.
He loved the money for sure, but he also loved the power that came along with being Whitney's dad/manager.
Of course.
Yeah, they talk about like how he could get anyone on the phone, like get me Steven Spielberg.
Oh, shit.
It's Whitney's dad,
Yeah.
So like I said, the whole family was on the payroll, which means that the whole family was always together, which sounds good. But a lot of her family, and in particular her brothers, Gary, who actually played in the NBA for a little bit, but was cut from the Denver Nuggets after failing drug tests.
Ooh.
and her brother Mike were both super into drugs at the time.
Oh.
And Whitney was their drug buddy.
Yeah.
Whitney had been their drug buddy since she was a kid.
Oh, no.
Mike says that he first tried heroin. I like how he said it, heroin. Mike says that he first tried heroin at age 10.
Oh, shit.
And anything that they did, she did.
Oh, no.
And ever since she was 16, she'd had a kind of a coke habit.
Right. She was super thin.
Yeah. And she came up as a model first.
Oh, that's right. So there's like eating issues too.
Yeah. For the record, in everything that I've watched and read on Whitney, and even the people that like to talk shit about Robin, I never ever heard stories of Robin using drugs. It seems like Robin was pretty clean. If anything, the more she was in Whitney's life, the less of a problem the drugs were. Like, it seems like, at least for a while, the drugs were just used at like parties and shit. I mean, it was the 80s. A lot of people did that. A lot of people do that.
Right.
It wasn't it wasn't an issue at first.
Right.
And I think Whitney liked to have fun, and she had fun with Robin. And I think Robin didn't super stress her about the coke as long as it wasn't a problem.
Okay.
But Sissy did admit in her memoir that Robin came to her in the late 1980s and said that Whitney had a problem and that she needed help. But because Sissy hated Robin and disapproved of her relationship with Whitney, she deflected. She denied that Whitney was using drugs and then tried to say that if she did have a problem, it was probably Robin's fault.
Jesus. That's helpful.
Yep. Go back to fucking your pastor.
Yeah, you're really putting your daughter first there.
Yeah. One of Whitney's friends says that if Whitney would have been coming up today and things would have turned out completely different for her. Like maybe she would have been in open relationships with women, or at least Robin. And this friend says that she would probably be alive today because a lot of her problems had to do with this internal struggle. But I mean, who knows?
I feel that way a little bit about Michael too. Like maybe if he wouldn't have been like the child star the way his dad was, if he would have came up in a different time, maybe he wouldn't have been so troubled.
But you know what I was thinking about just yesterday? There are a lot of child stars, and there are a lot of child stars that were abused, and
and they don't do that.
They don't do that.
No, you're right.
So obviously, I mean, with Michael, it was like, if you're gonna breed a person with those kind of problems, like that's how you fucking do it. But
I think about Leo all the time. He was a child actor.
Yeah, there you go.
And look, he turned out fine. Like he just loved acting. I think maybe his parents didn't push him, and it was just like, you know.
Actually, he's still like really close with his mom. I think his mom was like one of those parents who's like, I'm gonna be there, you know?
Yeah.
And not like in a stage mom sort of way. Like,
yeah, totally.
Yeah, Leo must have good parents, or at least his mom. I don't know anything about his dad.
He's around, but his parents divorced and stuff. Like, you hardly see his dad.
Anyway, so it's 1989, and at the Soul Train Music Awards, Whitney meets Bobby Brown.
Bobby! Oh, no. Bobby! Bobby!
Bobby was on top of the world at that time.
He had his big-ass pants on. He was letting it all hang out. It's my prerogative.
He'd of course had success with New Edition. He had gone solo to even more success. He was known as a party guy, a bad boy, drinking, getting girls left and right. He had swag. And honestly, it sounds like he was a lot of fun. So he basically he sweeps Whitney off her feet. She's having the time of her life with him, and she really did love him. Plus, she still kind of has this chip on her shoulder about black audiences thinking she's too white.
Yeah.
So here's this edgy black dude whose blackness kind of gives her more credibility to those people who had shit to say about her own blackness.
Yeah, and then like we're saying, like Whitney's ghetto, like she.
Yeah.
Yeah, like she plays it off good, but she's from the hood. Like she probably loved all the shit Bobby loved.
Right, exactly. He's from Boston. Like she's from New York. It was that they were like, I could see why they got together. It was a good. I don't want to say a good match, but I get it. I get it.
Yeah, me too.
So they sort of have a whirlwind romance. By no means does that mean that Robin went away. In fact, when Bobby and Whitney got married in 1992, Robin was the maid of honor, which must have been really hard for Robin. In the documentary, Whitney's friends say that Robin probably felt like if she ended her relationship with Whitney, there wouldn't be anyone left to look out for her.
That's really sad to me.
Yeah. And Robin didn't fuck with Bobby at all. And Bobby,
of course, because he's dangerous.
Yeah, exactly. And Bobby fucking hated Robin.
Of course.
Because he's fucking his wife.
Yeah.
She's fucking his wife. So there was drama from the jump. All the while, of course, Whitney's star continues to rise.
Yep.
She literally hit the charts with the Star-Spangled Banner.
Is that the one I'm thinking of?
Yeah, that's the one you're thinking of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was like, they have people in the documentary who talk about hearing it for the first time and they're like crying and they're like, they ask them, oh, what's your favorite? They're outside of like a Whitney concert or something. They're like, what's your favorite Whitney Houston song? And some guy is like, the Star-Spangled Banner.
Hell yeah. Written by Bobby Brown.
There's a cool part. I think this is like the other I think this was in the I'ma Be Me documentary where they talk about how she recorded it. Because, you know, they always have to do those pre-recorded.
Yeah.
They said that she all she told the guy who was arranging it was that she wanted it to be kind of long so that she would have time to do like gospel type stuff, like in the middle, like
Yeah.
So she was like on tour or something, so she didn't get a chance to listen to it until the night before when they were ready to record it. And he says that she stood in the corner, put the headphones on, like listened to it once. She was like, I got this, and then got up to the mic and just like fucking did it in one take.
Oh my God, man. That's amazing.
I was like low-key patriotic for a second when I heard
Yeah,
it.
right? No, for sure. Tears dropping and shit.
So Whitney gave birth to her daughter, Bobby Christina, on March 4th, 1993. Happy belated to Bobby Christina. One of the saddest things in the documentary is Whitney's sweet old aunt. Like, she talks about how immediately after Bobby Christina was born, Whitney called her to help take care of her. And when Bobby Christina was a few months old, she was very sick and had a bad night, being super fussy and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So she put Bobby Christina in the bed with her, and she says that she slept next to her every night for 8 years after that. And then the aunt, she broke down crying, and because it's like, that was her mom, basically. Like,
Right.
this Aunt Bay, I think was her name. She raised her. That was like her child, her grandchild. So she like completely falls apart when she's talking about her, and it's fucking horrible.
Oh no.
Whitney loved Bobby Christina, or Chrissy as everyone called her. She never, ever wanted to be apart from her.
Oh.
Remember when Whitney was a kid, Sissy was always on the road and would have to leave her all the time, so Whitney couldn't stand the idea of leaving Chrissy when she went on the road. So whenever possible, she brought her, and they were always together.
Oh.
Whitney's brother Mike says that life on the road wasn't a good environment for Chrissy. He says that she was only around adults doing adult shit, so she became grown before her time. Also, our girl Whitney takes everything to the next level, so she decides, I'm going to do movies now. And she stars in The Bodyguard, which was a fucking smash, making over $400 million at the box office.
Oh my God. That movie's so good.
And of course, giving us her signature song, her cover of Queen Dolly Parton's I Will Always Love You.
One time there used to be, when I lived in Long Beach, there was this little crappy dive bar that did karaoke on Friday nights that I used to love going to. And one time there were these like 4 drunk cholos in like Dickies and fucking Cortezes and shit, and they were fucked up, and one of them went up there and was like, I dedicate this to my homeboys right there. This was for you guys. And he sang I Will Always Love You.
Oh my God.
It was so fucking funny.
Was it good?
No, it was but it was funny. He was like, ah. Everybody was loving it.
Gangs need official songs too.
Yeah, for sure. See,
the Latin Kings.
Let us produce your gang. We will get you a good color.
Yes.
We'll get you a theme song.
Oh, yes, yes.
We'll get you appropriate conference spaces for your meetings.
We'll like curate your tattoos.
Yep, don't worry about it. We got you.
All right, so that song hit #1 in basically every country on earth. And
yeah, seriously. Seriously.
And it was the best-selling single of all time after selling 20 million copies.
Yeah.
The soundtrack ended up selling 45 million copies and is full of bops.
Yeah.
I still have the soundtrack in my rotation. It's so fucking good. It's up there with
really
like,
fucking good.
It's like one of my favorite soundtracks. Grease and Saturday Night Fever also are awesome, but this one might be the best. Anyway, so she was already a megastar, and the simultaneous success of the film and its soundtrack it made her untouchable. Whitney circa 1992, 1994 was damn near the biggest star on the planet. Just beyond huge.
Meanwhile, is Bobby like on his way down?
That's my next line.
All right, my bad.
This marked a change in her relationship with Bobby. Before The Bodyguard, she'd always been more famous than him, but not necessarily out of his league.
Right, because he was super popular.
Yes.
Of that time.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Migos.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, they're hot right now.
They're hot right now, but like, are we going to still be talking about Migos 10 years from now? Probably not.
No,
you know?
Yeah.
After The Bodyguard, we now have a Pete Davidson, Ariana Grande situation. Like, him, really, you could do better, girl.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, Bobby's ego took a huge hit.
Right.
He was fucking jealous. He was pressed. And she did her best to make him feel important.
Mm-hmm.
So she gave him a title as one of her managers.
Oh, God.
She named her production company after him. She
Oh.
collabed with him. She brought him on stage and shit. She did her best to kind of step back and try to let him feel dominant, whatever that fucking means.
Yeah.
And, like, you'll see it when you see footage of them on the red carpet. Like, she wants him to answer the questions. Like, they're asking her a question and, like, she'll, like, let him answer it.
Jesus.
She also kind of, like, let him... You'll see footage of them and he's, like, physically dominant. Like, the way he has, like, his arm around her on red carpet and stuff. Like, it's very much, like...
Yeah, you know how, like, body language...
Yeah.
People who study body language of couples will, like, talk about that shit?
Yes, exactly. So she and he, like, they want the world to know, like, this is my man. Like, he wears the pants.
Jesus.
But Bobby is so fucking pressed that he starts acting out and embarrassing her. The tabloids catch him out with other women. Like, he assaults photographers. He gets drunk and belligerent in public. He gets DUIs. He sexually harasses some employees. He goes to jail. He's always in the news for some idiotic shit. He's totally spiraling.
And that's fucking up her reputation.
Yeah, exactly. He's so insecure that he doesn't want Robin around anymore. And a real power struggle ensues between them two. But Whitney starts getting annoyed by the way people are always talking about how trash her man's is. So now she's even more devoted than ever so that she can kind of prove those people wrong. Also, she doesn't want her marriage to fail like her own parents. So she's like, we're going to fucking make it work. And she's all in.
Yeah. They didn't date for that long before they got married?
No, not really.
Okay.
No. Plus, she fucking loves him.
Yeah, she really does.
Yeah. That or they're both codependent addicts.
Yeah.
Because Whitney's drug use was kind of getting out of control at this time. She was just under a lot of pressure, both in her personal life and in her career. And by this point, Robin was the only one kind of keeping the train on the track as far as Whitney's career goes. Because Whitney was more interested in dealing with Bobby and fucking doing drugs.
Right. Sometimes I feel like when you get to that level of fame, you think like, well, this is it. I made it.
Yeah.
Like you kind of like put your feet up and you think I don't have to work anymore.
I can coast.
Yeah, but you do. You got to work.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is, like, people will demand more of you at that point.
For sure.
You know? Because look at her. Before she was just a music star. Now she's a movie star.
Yeah.
Yeah. So since Bobby was pushing Robin out more and more, now Robin was less able to handle Whitney and keep the drug use in check. Whitney's bodyguard from around this time wrote a report to her management team that said that things were fucking bad. He wrote that she OD'd on the set of Waiting to Exhale and that she was smuggling drugs in her snatch during her international tour. After he submitted this report, he was fired even though he'd worked for her for 7 years. He also had a very sad moment in a different Whitney documentary where he talks about how when Bobby Christina was a baby, he didn't necessarily think that things were going to turn out bad for her. But he says, looking back on it, she never stood a chance.
Oh.
And he was all like, everyone who stood by and did nothing while Whitney destroyed herself are all to blame. And you can tell that he feels regret too, but at least he tried. So, like, I kind of feel bad for him.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that Bobby introduced Whitney to drugs, but we know that that's not true because Whitney had
been doing drugs.
Yeah, she had been at least a recreational user from the time she was a kid.
Yeah.
And during this time, her drug use increased almost exponentially. Her brothers say that they
it's
were
like Sid and Nancy, dude.
It is. Only
Yeah.
It's like her and her whole ass family, though.
Yeah.
Her brothers say that they were doing an amount of drugs that would have killed other people for sure. But because their bodies were so fucking used to it.
Yeah, they had this high tolerance.
Yeah. In fact, they said that Bobby couldn't handle his drugs like that. They call him a lightweight. Like, he did drugs because she did drugs, but that wasn't really his thing. He was a drinker. He's an alcoholic. So that was her thing, not his. Her friends say that she was being self-destructive in part as a way of lowering herself so that Bobby would be better in comparison.
Oh, wow. She really loved him.
Yeah, she did. And also now she's got the family, you know. Now she's got Bobby Christina, so she's like, you know. At this time, she was lacing her marijuana with cocaine and she was constantly high.
Right.
She spent more time high than sober.
Oh, fuck.
And finally, after all these years, Robin is done. She's there's nothing else that she could have done.
Aww.
Things with Bobby and Robin had reached a breaking point, and Whitney's ex-bodyguard says that at times things got physical between Robin and Bobby, and that Bobby didn't always win. Robin told Whitney that the marriage to Bobby is toxic, and she gives Whitney an ultimatum. And allegedly, Whitney just responded, "I accept your resignation."
Oh, shit.
And then after that, they just didn't speak again.
Oh, wow. That is some serious shit right there.
I also want to say about Robin that Robin has never talked. She's never given a single interview or shopped a book deal or anything.
She really loved Whitney, too.
She sure fucking did.
Yeah.
And like everything we know about her relationship with Whitney is information we have from people who were around them at that time.
Uh-huh.
And that's why I have so much respect for her, because you know she could have sold her story and basically written herself a fucking check for like however much she wanted.
Yeah, she could have been a Kardashian.
Yeah.
just selling yourself.
Just selling yourself, right?
At all times.
And she hasn't done that. Also, with so many people, particularly in Whitney's family, that would kill to make her look bad, we really don't have any bad stories about her.
Yeah, that's true.
All of Whitney's friends go out of their way to praise her for being Whitney's rock as best as she could. And even Bobby, who, as we know, fucking hated her, said after Whitney's death that Whitney would still be alive if she would have been allowed to just be with Robin.
Oh, no.
So we stand Robin. Shout outs to her.
Yeah, you a real one.
It sounds like she's living a nice life right now. I know she has a partner and a set of twins.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Anyway, so things were getting really, really, really bad. Whitney needed to go to rehab, but people around her were reluctant to say anything to her or risk their paychecks stopping if she stopped working.
I was going to say, has she dropped an album or anything?
No.
But she's touring or doing shows, something?
She's like touring, and then she was like in The Preacher's Wife and in Waiting to Exhale. And like,
oh, yeah.
She was in that Cinderella movie with Brandy.
Oh, my God. I used to love Waiting to Exhale. That movie's fucking good.
Shout out to Angela Bassett.
Fuck yeah.
She's body goals.
Yeah, she is. Damn.
So they all just sort of stood by as things got out of hand. And finally, her movie agent got Sissy to stage an intervention. And Whitney showed up high as fuck and basically told everyone to fuck off. And now that John, Whitney's dad, was in charge instead of Robin, people really took even more advantage of her financially.
Oh, no.
Allegedly, John started just straight up stealing cash from her, like brazenly pocketing millions. He did it so blatantly that it got to the point where Whitney, who remembers practically a junkie at this point, even she couldn't ignore it. So she fired him and cut him off.
Wow, good for her.
And he later sued her for $100 million, claiming that she owed him his fees for brokering deals.
Please.
They remained estranged until his death. That was...
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Damn.
When they called her when he was dying, she didn't go. And when he did die, she didn't go to the funeral, but she did go see his like casket and stuff before everybody. So yeah, that was very painful for Whitney because remember, there had always been friction between Whitney and Sissy. Yeah. Since Sissy was the one that was tough on her as a kid as far as her training as a singer and polishing her persona and stuff.
Yeah.
Plus the thing where Sissy had an affair with her pastor.
Right.
So Whitney had always been a daddy's girl. Like, she fucking loved her dad.
Right.
He'd low-key always been a piece of shit, but he could do no wrong in her eyes. So when that relationship broke down forever, it broke her. Like, I think that was like the straw that broke the camel's back.
Of course.
Like, not only do you have Robin not there anymore, but like now, like, this man that you loved so much, you realize.
Yeah, that sounds awful.
Yeah. So throughout the mid to late 90s, Whitney is this barely functioning addict, but she's getting by.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, people haven't really the public hasn't really noticed or anything yet. She's in a few movies. She usually drops some songs on the soundtrack to these movies. In 98, she drops a fairly successful album, My Love Is Your Love, her first studio album in 8 years.
Is this when she does the duet with Mariah for
The Prince of Egypt?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's around that. I think that's like 98, 99,
yeah, she's
something
still pretty
like that.
hot. She's like showing up at shit, award shows and shit. Yeah.
Exactly. But now the public starts getting hints that things are falling apart.
Uh-oh.
Without Robin, Whitney shows up hours late for interviews, misses rehearsals, skips out on shows, and starts generally being messy in public.
Oh, no. Bobby.
Bye-bye. And then rumors about her drug use start getting out to the public.
Yeah. You can't be like a drug user and a superstar for damn near like 20 years without like some people in the industry knowing what's going on.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? Yeah.
And we're going to get to like why people claim they don't know.
Okay.
If you're going to, here's my advice. If you're going to be a superstar drug addict.
Yeah. Let us hear it, May. Please.
Have a Robin in your life. Have someone that's like making
take the L. You think Robin wouldn't have taken the L for her?
Yeah, exactly.
And then like, no, it's me. Those are my drugs.
Right.
You know? Yeah.
You have someone in your life that's keeping the train on the fucking track. Like,
yeah.
Make sure you're doing your job so that you can keep doing your drugs, you know?
Yeah. And take care of that person above all else.
Right. Okay. But still, she's still Whitney fucking Houston. So she renews her contract with Arista for $100 million.
Oh my God.
One of the biggest deals ever.
Because Whitney Houston, half as good, is still way better than everybody.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
A coked up Whitney still runs lap around fucking Britney and Christina and fucking everybody.
So she promises to deliver 6 albums.
Oh, damn. That's kind
of a lot. It's kind of a lot. Then on September 10th, 2001, a day that constantly comes up on this podcast.
Never forget.
Never forget the day before the day we're never supposed to forget. That was the date of Michael Jackson's 30th anniversary concert.
Oh, yes.
And that's the day that the other shoe finally drops. Whitney
this is the one where Elizabeth flexes on Debbie Reynolds.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Whitney shows up to perform looking like a fucking skeleton. Like
she's so skinny, huh?
She looked so fucking bad. She had to be digitally enhanced for the broadcast.
What? Hold on, I gotta look at it.
And it was still terrible.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, because digital enhancement in 2001 is
right. And she sings "Gonna Be Starting Something." It's like even at that time where she's like she looks terrible. Which picture are you looking at?
This one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh man, she is frail.
All right, so now the rumors aren't exactly rumors anymore. We can see it with our own eyes, you know? She looks like shit. She's on fucking drugs. Whitney waves off the concerns about her health as being stress related and like food related, but denies using drugs. Meanwhile, Whitney is trying to record new music because, you know, she got to record 6 albums now.
Yeah, she got.
But it just isn't happening. She and Bobby would lock themselves in hotel rooms and just fucking get high for like 10 days at a time. Like literally just get room service, have them push in liquor, and that was it.
Wow.
Her voice is practically non-existent.
Yeah, because she's not training. She's not keeping up with her vocal coaches, I'm sure.
And remember, she smokes her cocaine.
Oh, that's right. Oh, no.
So that's how low she is. If she gave a shit about her voice, her fucking gift, at the very least, that's not how she would be doing her drugs, you know?
Right.
But whatever. Anyway, L.A. Reid and the rest of the Arista execs deny knowing that she was on drugs.
Come on.
That shit infuriated me.
Yeah. They're fucking... those people, ugh.
They're like the devil. What did Michael Jackson say? Like they're devilish.
Yeah.
So they had to fucking know. They were footing the bill for hotels and studio sessions for months and months at a time and getting literally no songs out of it.
Yeah, and getting the bill with all the liquor and shit going in the room. Yeah.
So I'm sure they had to wonder why.
Yeah. You know? I wonder what they're doing there.
One of the former Arista producers speculated that they spent like $10 million on her over the course of a few months, and they only got 2 songs out of it.
Wow.
That producer, he has a really sad story because he said that Whitney would just, if she would show up to the studio, it just wasn't her, and she couldn't sing, and as soon as she would walk out, like he would start crying. Like
and what could he do?
Yeah, that it had gotten to that point, and he said one day out of like the months, I think they were in Miami when they were doing this, of course, because they were partying and shit.
Yeah,
and doing coke. in the months that he was working with her during that studio session, there was one day where she came in and she was Whitney, and
Aw.
she sang, and he said that while she was like in the studio, he just started bawling, like he couldn't
Yeah.
take it.
That's awful.
Finally, in 2002, she had enough material to put out an album, so she promoted it with an interview with Diane Sawyer,
Oh, yes.
who straight up asked her, "Is it alcohol? Is it marijuana? Is it cocaine? Is it pills?" And Whitney says, "It has been at times." She said yes. And later famously says, "First of all, let's get one thing straight. Crack, crack is cheap. I make too much money to ever smoke crack. Let's get this straight, okay? We don't do crack. We don't do that. Crack is whack."
Yeah, crack is whack. Bobby, bring my crack over here.
Do yourself a favor and look up Maya Rudolph as Whitney Houston.
Oh,
It
yes.
kills me every time.
Yes.
There was one I saw where Maya was Whitney and Tracy Morgan was Bobby.
No. That's perfect.
So that was it. From one moment to the next, Whitney became a joke. Things were never the same, and the old Whitney was dead. She finally ended up going in and out of rehab, never really completing the treatment. She was a train wreck. So people wondered why. Why was America's sweetheart like this? What happened?
Yeah.
The documentary makes some news here when they uncovered that Whitney had told a few people that she was sexually abused as a child.
Oh, no.
Her brother Gary says that he was also sexually abused as a child.
Oh, no.
He says that since their parents just left them, just leave them with people, they weren't there to protect them.
Right.
So this is why Whitney insisted on being with Bobby Christina at all fucking times.
Yeah.
Because she didn't want the same thing to happen to her.
Right.
Whitney and Gary said that their molester was...
The pastor.
Mm-mm.
Their dad?
No.
Oh, no, not their dad.
No.
Hold on. Okay, I don't know.
Dee Dee Warwick, sister of Dion.
What?
Yes.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I was shocked. When I tell you shocked, like, my heart, like, started beating so fucking fast. Like, I cannot believe this. And Dion has never talked about it. Sissy has never talked about it. Dee Dee, I think, is dead. Yeah, she is dead. Dee Dee's dead. But we need these people to speak on it. Like, that shit was not okay. They don't even want to admit that it happened to her, first of all.
Oh, my God, May.
Like, Sissy's like, that shit did not happen, basically. Just, like, put the blinders on. Whitney's aunt was like, no, Whitney had an idyllic childhood. Like, no.
Oh, my God.
So how about that's probably the problem right there?
That's awful.
The reason why it came up was that one of Whitney's cousins, like, opened up to her and told her that she had been abused as a child. And then Whitney told her, like, this is something that I've never told anybody, but this happened to me. And she said the cousin told her, like, you need to tell your mom.
Yeah.
Whitney was an adult at this point, like in her 30s or 40s or something. And she was like, you need to tell your mom. Like, I promise you, you'll feel the weight lifted off of your shoulder once you tell your mom. And she was like, I don't think I can ever talk to my mom about this.
Wow.
One of her cousins says that the abuse caused Whitney to question her sexuality, and that it was probably the reason that she was so desperate to make it work with Bobby, despite the fact that their relationship was so toxic and abusive.
Yeah.
Bobby was arrested and charged with battery in December 2003 for hitting her in the face.
Oh, no.
Then in 2004 and 2005, she was featured on Bobby's reality show, Being Bobby Brown, a reality TV classic.
Oh, yeah. That's a throwback right there.
The world had a first-hand look at the dysfunction that was the Houston Brown household.
Yeah. Why on earth would they sign up for this?
I think they were having money problems. I think they
sure,
had to.
Yeah.
It was sad, really.
Yeah.
After the first season, Whitney refused to appear in the second season, so Bravo canceled it. Because, I mean, really, who are we here to see?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, little Bobby Christina is living this life right along with them.
Right.
It seems like she would partake in drugs and alcohol with her parents from a young age.
Of course, because Whitney did it as a young age, so...
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And their drug use led to them being more neglectful of her. So as opposed to like, at first, Whitney kept Bobby Christina around, even though that's not a good idea considering what they were doing.
Right.
At least like, she was with her.
All the time, yeah.
Yeah. And then at this point, she kind of just like abandoned her, really.
Right.
Little Chrissy was basically living in a nightmare worst case scenario. It took a toll on Chrissy, obviously, and as a kid, she attempted suicide by slitting her wrists.
Oh, no.
She hated her parents. This was around the time when the National Enquirer published some disgusting photos of Whitney's bathroom that
yeah.
she'd basically converted into a drug den.
Right.
These are the photos from the Pusha T album that Kanye bought.
I know, I remember.
Yeah.
He's disgusting.
The photos showed crack pipes and a lot of drug paraphernalia that proved just how bad things had finally gotten.
Yeah.
And then finally, after 14 years of marriage, Bobby and Whitney separated and got divorced in early 2007. That kind of happened really quickly. Like they separated in like January and were like divorced by like March.
That's interesting. I wonder what their like prenup was, if any.
I think the problem is they didn't have that many assets at that point.
That's true, actually. They had like ran through it together.
Yeah, exactly. So it was just custody.
Yeah.
Which Whitney got custody of Bobby Christina.
Yeah.
Bobby Christina was 14 years old at the time of the divorce.
Wow, that's really hard.
After her divorce, it seemed like Whitney really wanted to get clean for real for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And her relationship with Chrissy began to improve. She went to rehab for 8 months and was doing well. That seems like a long time, huh?
Yeah, but I mean, she's been doing drugs her whole ass life.
Yeah, that's true. But so she was doing really well. And, she was in a long term, like she wasn't supposed to be getting out anytime soon, but she had to leave because she ran out of money.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's... Ooh.
Where are your friends? Where is Clive Davis at that point?
I know. Like all these people who allegedly care about you.
Yeah. People who have made tens of millions of dollars off of you. Where is someone saying, yeah, we'll pay for your ugh. Fucking trash. Okay, anyway. So she had to go on tour or face maybe being homeless.
Yeah. You know what's interesting? I guess Whitney doesn't really have like a community like that. Like I'm kind of thinking like, remember when I was telling you that Sid Vicious's bills were being paid by Mick Jagger?
Mick Jagger, yeah.
Yeah, but like really like the divas, when they're on that level, they're kind of competitive with each other. Like
that's
Mariah,
true. Yeah,
and Celine and Whitney, like they might actually enjoy watching her fall.
Yeah, that's true.
That's fucked up.
Yeah. But see, that's different though, because that's your peers.
Right.
Where are the people like you're making money for?
Yeah, like Clive. Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh. Okay. So she goes on tour and it's a fucking disaster.
Oh.
People think those videos, look them up, but think those videos of like Amy when she's like
bad, super fucked up. Yeah.
It's like that. People posted videos of her crashing and burning on YouTube and her voice was just gone.
Okay, I don't know what I would rather see, her at her peaker.
I mean, around this time, like at this point, I could literally sing I Will Always Love You better than she was singing it at that time.
For sure, yeah.
And my favorite song is The Monster Mash because that's the only song I can sing.
Shut up.
So her music career was over.
Yeah,
that was
it's donezo.
Yeah. But she still needed to make money.
Right.
So in late 2011, she got a gig to star in the movie Sparkle.
Oh.
Which she got by agreeing to undergo weekly drug tests.
That's good.
That's really good.
Yeah.
And also, the movie industry seems different to me than the music industry. Like, musicians are sort of that, like, oh, they're doing drugs, like that's part of the lifestyle or something. I don't think it's that way with filmmakers and with like movie stars.
Yeah, because to sing a song in a studio, I guess it's not that much overhead. Like,
yeah,
and you
true.
only got to do it for like what? We need you to be able to perform for like 4 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas like a movie production, like they really need you to be on your game.
Right. And millions of dollars a day,
yeah,
probably.
And a bunch of staff and
the
crew and shit. Yeah.
So this is a good environment for her. And by all means, it seemed like she was thriving by having to work every day and having that accountability.
Yeah, sometimes like we always talk about that. Like people need schedules.
Yeah.
Like that helps Britney and like a lot of people.
Right. This is why, and I wrote this, like I'm high key worried about Britney right now.
Because she's not doing the Vegas show?
Yeah, exactly. She don't have shit to do. And also, like, her dad is probably for the first time in years having to focus on himself.
Yeah, like his health and stuff. You're
Yeah.
right, dude.
I'm so worried. Like, I think about her all the time. Like, she's definitely in my thoughts. I hope she has the right people around her.
Hopefully she's working on an album.
Yeah. But
That
even
could
then,
be it,
that's
yeah.
not structured.
No, it's
You know?
not. Yeah,
I don't have to be here at
solid.
8 a.m. and like,
Yeah.
I'm worried about her. Anyway.
Mhm.
So, so Whitney's got that accountability and she put on some weight. Like,
Good though.
she was looking good.
Yeah.
She started to make plans to maybe do more movies. So things were going well.
Yeah.
But then the movie wrapped. And now Whitney didn't have shit to do anymore.
Oh, no.
So around this time, Whitney gets a little boy toy.
Okay.
She starts dating Ray J.
Hey.
This was weird for a variety of reasons, obviously.
Yeah, Ray J. Wow, you are really.
Whitney had been a sort of mentor or like mother figure to Ray J's big sister, Brandy.
Oh, right. They were in Cinderella, right?
They were in Cinderella, yeah. So she knew Ray J from the time he was very young.
Ooh, that's low-key disturbing.
Yeah. And of course, this was a few years after the Kim Kardashian sex tape.
Mhm.
So you would think that Whitney would be too old for that shit.
Yeah.
But hey.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she's photographed going to the club with Ray J and partying with him and shit.
Do you remember there was a picture like of her going to the club with her legs all bloody?
I'm getting to that, yeah. Okay. So her appearance starts kind of taking a nosedive. Like she had been, remember I told you she had put on a little weight. She was looking good. She was working, whatever. Then the National Enquirer published a photograph of her looking honestly cracked out. Like that's the only way to
explain it or
describe it. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so Whitney was going to Clive Davis's annual pre-Grammy party in February of 2012, where she was scheduled to perform. A few days before, she was photographed leaving a club with lots of injuries, scrapes, puncture marks, bruises, etc. This is what you're talking about, like on her legs and stuff. It seemed like, do you remember one time when we went to the club and this was like in Riverside in college, and there was like blood outside of it because some girl beat another girl with her stiletto?
Yes, I forgot about that.
It was like that. It was like she got beat up by a stiletto.
Yeah. And she's too old for this shit.
I guess the tea is some girl was all up on Ray J and she wasn't having it. So like they got into like a brawl in the club.
Oh my God.
And that's what happened.
my God.
She's too old for this shit.
Yes, girl.
Okay, so the photos were out.
Right.
And people were like, damn, Whitney, this is bad.
Yeah.
She's going through something. At that time, she's staying at the Beverly Hilton Hotel. And like the next day is the day of the Grammy pre-party.
Right.
Which is February 11th.
Right.
And Whitney sent her assistant out to get her a sprinkles cupcake. Her assistant
That's
says...
that's a very 2011 statement right there.
That is, yeah. So her assistant says that she was gone for 30 minutes. And when she got back, she found Whitney unconscious, submerged in the water of her bathtub.
Oh.
The paramedics were called and performed CPR, but she was gone. She was 48.
R.I.P.
Ooh.
I remember when I found out when she died.
When?
I was at the twins' house, and I remember because I literally had just been talking about the pictures of her leaving the club with my tia Marta.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, Tia, Whitney Houston died. And she was like, no.
Oh,
Yeah.
my God. Ugh. I wish she would have gotten that last meal, that sprinkles.
I know, right? The anticipation killed her. But that was a bad joke. Sorry, guys.
That's P.S. I don't want anything sweet as my last meal. I don't want like a cake. Especially not a cupcake. Especially not a sprinkles cupcake.
Fuck that.
Bang bang muffin gang.
Yeah, you love muffins.
Muffins over cupcakes.
That bitch, that is a fucking cupcake just without the icing.
Yeah, it's perfect because I don't eat cakes with the icing. I only eat the bread
You're
part.
a fucking weirdo.
So Whitney died because of heart disease secondary to cocaine use, of course.
Uh-huh.
At the time of her death, there was cocaine, Benadryl, Xanax, cannabis, and a muscle relaxant in her system.
Oh, shit.
Bobby Christina, who was staying at the hotel along with her unofficially adopted brother / later unofficial husband, Nick Gordon, they were there to witness when Whitney was found and the efforts to revive her.
Oh, God.
I think Nick was the first one to try CPR.
I never want to be in that position.
That's what I always think about, like,
just like the
there's
aftermath, right?
Yeah, the aftermath.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, like Kim Kardashian in her Paris robbery thing, I remember she said that like at one point she had kind of realized like I'm gonna die, you know, and what she was thinking of was that because her sister, not Chloe,
Courtney, I think it
was in the same hotel, and she was
Mhm.
thinking Courtney's gonna come into my room and Courtney's gonna find me, and like,
Ugh,
yeah, fucking horrible.
that's horrible. Oh my god. Clive Davis's party went on downstairs without her.
They didn't know,
Which was-
or
They did know. It was fucking tacky as fuck. When it started, Clive got on the mic and was like, "We all know what happened upstairs."
what?
Ugh.
Ooh, Clive, not looking too. I kind of liked him because a little bit, you know.
Yeah,
he
he's
came out as
bisexual
bisexual, yeah, and he like has. Ooh, no.
Yeah, and also like he was, and Whitney never had a bad thing to say about him. She's always like, "This is my mentor. This is the person that made me who I am today." Like I've always liked Clive Davis
But
too.
see, everybody's just a fucking pawn to people like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Ugh.
Her body was cold upstairs.
Oh, no.
Like, or not even cold, I should say. It
Warm.
was like
Yeah.
warm upstairs. Clive Davis, Whitney's friend and mentor of damn near 30 years, said Whitney would have wanted the show to go on, which is some bullshit.
Wow.
Clive Davis, you trash for this
Yeah,
one.
you real
Shaka,
trash.
Shaka Khan was dope because she was like at the party. She hadn't heard anything yet,
Uh-huh.
and then like immediately she left, and they asked her what's going on in there. She was like, "I'm leaving. This is inappropriate."
Yeah, what
like,
the fuck?
Shout out to you, Shaka Khan.
Yeah.
I fucking love Shaka
Oh
Khan.
yeah.
Despite her struggle with drug use being well known, her death still came as a shock for many people and was a huge story around the world.
She was so young.
She was
48.
48.
Yeah.
48 years old. Oh my god.
That's
Okay.
crazy.
And tributes took place, obviously. She's fucking icon.
Yeah.
Like for her all over.
It
and
was all
people-
over the news.
Yeah. This is like when Michael Jackson died.
Yeah, it was like everybody stopped for a
Yeah.
second and was like,
Yeah.
this presence has left the earth. You
Yeah.
know? Like this
Yeah.
great. We'll never get that again.
right. Oh my god. Chills.
Mhm.
Imagine somebody of Whitney's caliber of voice who was also a songwriter. I always think like when is that person coming?
Oh man.
The closest we have is an Adele, but Adele can't sing like Whitney though.
No, Adele's. I really like the way Adele holds a tune, but no, it's not like Whitney.
Yeah.
I think maybe it does exist, but maybe those people have like stage fright or whatever, you know?
Yeah, I'm sure. Unfortunately, Whitney's daughter, Bobby Christina, died tragically in 2015 under eerily similar circumstances, which we'll leave for a Bobby Christina episode.
Yes.
But Chrissy's death somehow makes the already tragic and shocking death of Whitney even more tragic and shocking.
Yeah.
And that's the story of the life and death of a legend, Whitney Houston.
Woo! That was a good one, man. Good job.
Just so much scandal and like
Yeah.
behind the scenes
Ugh.
and stuff. Ugh.
So crazy.
Shout out to Robin.
Yeah.
You a real one.
Shout out to Robin. And she deserves, you know, happiness and
Yeah.
just calmness. And
I want to know. I know she was at the funeral, but I want to know what was up with their relationship at the end.
Yeah.
Because I know they didn't speak for years. I know they weren't friendly. For sure, they weren't friendly after that. But I wonder if
maybe
at least they were on
after
speaking
she
terms.
divorced Bobby, like she had like a
Mhm.
better, you know, relationship.
Maybe I would like, but we can't know because Robin doesn't talk.
Good. You know, we're not
Yeah.
supposed to know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It's none of our business. We're going to talk about it though. Well, guys, thanks for listening. This has been another episode of the Drama Club. Hit us up on Instagram and Twitter at Drama Club Pod. Hit us up on Gmail, dramaclubpod@gmail.com.
On the hotline, 505, I don't know the number.
539.
0556.
Yep.
There you go. Hey. And also, alert.
Alert, alert.
We now have a new way for you guys to interact with us.
Yes, this is very exciting.
This is exciting. Okay. We were talking about how we have listeners now in several countries around the world. Like this is the craziest thing to me. Like more than I could have ever imagined.
Yeah.
Like dozens of countries. It's the coolest thing about doing this podcast.
Yep.
We're friends with so many of you guys. It would be cool if you guys sent us like postcards from where you live.
Yeah, anything. If you want to just write us a letter, we would love to interact. Pen pals, baby.
Pen pals, yeah. But like just to have like the stamps from different places and stuff, I think that
Yeah.
would be really cool. So starting whenever you guys listen to this, and I'll add it in like the liner notes for the podcast from now on.
Yeah.
You can send us whatever at our new P.O. box. So just address it to Steph and May.
Yep.
At P.O. Box number 27433. That's P.O. Box number 27433, Los Angeles, California, 90027.
Ooh, ooh.
All right, guys.
Thank you. Talk to you later.
Goodbye.
However, whatever with your however.